Alright, let y'all know this is a hybrid already. Got some issues getting it tuned in. One thing I did notice is my decomp valve was not popping back out when it would run. It would just sit there like that and run. So that's definitely an air leak, and you could pull it back out and it would stay out, but I'm not sure that it's sealing, so I was going to go ahead and vacuum test it. If that's the only issue, I may go blast off a test cut and piss off the neighbors. But I think I need to raise my exhaust because I am running it pretty low, and I think the compression is pretty stout on this too. So I'm going to do a vacuum test and a compression test, and make my game plan from there. Compression tested it. I'm out of breath from pulling on it. I had a Schrader valve crap out on me. It hit 210, but like 3 times it hit 210 and then pushed the O-ring out. So might be a little more, but 210 shouldn't be terrible. Move on to vacuum test. So I'm holding vacuum, even with the decomp that won't pop out. So the decomp is sealing, but when it wants to, because if it don't pop out, of course it's not sealing. And then I started pushing around on stuff, and if I pushed on, I think all I had to do is push on the intake one way. You can see right down there, it kind of shimmies around. And under pressure that leaked. And messing with it, it does drop it down. So I'm going to plug the decomp. We're going to still leave that carb on there, but I'm going to change out the intake boot. While I'm changing things out, I might as well tell y'all kind of what this is. This atrocity, which is kind of poorly put together, is a 44 millimeter Husqvarna 350 open port cylinder. I'm trying to run a clone 359 carb because it's spinning pretty hard. I just want to make sure that I got nothing holding it back. I just blew some holes in the front of the muffler. Looks kind of like a dice or a die. I left that top one alone. I made a stuffer crank for it. I'll show you all that in a little bit. Since I'm taking all this crap off, I'm probably just going to take the cylinder off. I want to change the exhaust. I'll raise it a hair. It's kind of low right now, and might be able to pick up power, relieve a little bit of compression by picking it up. And I put it together in, I think I started on it last weekend, so it's probably been a week, maybe 8 days. I had some health problems like pretty much all of February, and didn't really have any time to work on it then. And crap, was last weekend I might have been working on that other 350, Or that might have been 2 weekends ago. I can't remember. It wasn't a 350, the other 55. But I'll look at the picture and figure out exactly when I put this case together. I put the crank in it on March 4th. So, yeah, I put it together in a week. I don't have a lathe, so I was stuck with using a piston that was tall enough that would let me use a chamber cutter to adjust my compression. And I slotted the base, the holes in the base, and I'm running a gasket to adjust my squish. Okay, ripped it apart. It's already trying to eat itself. It's just got to make it through a race. So, not particularly concerned with the wear on this piston, other than right there, and I can just barely catch that with my finger. It's probably one of the leftover boogers in my cylinder. This wasn't the greatest cylinder to start with, but on the first one, I widened the exhaust because I come in and started grinding like first thing in the morning after I woke up. And my brain was looking at it saying, open port cylinder, it's got a full circle piston. And I'm using one with skirts, and I blew it right past the skirts of the piston. So I had to, like, emergency jump into this one. And it's got some stuff stuck to the walls pretty good. I do need to make a new gasket because that one straight up came apart. There's the stuffer crank, some sort of Husqvarna part, and they're epoxied. I epoxied them to the crankshaft. This is a steel 031. Let me check eBay real fast. Yeah, steel 031 44 millimeter piston. It's got the super tall crown on it. And part of the wear on the piston is because I had to put sandpaper on the top of it to do my chamber work. That's how I got the taper in the band. The center part was it was like a wooden ball on a dowel, and I stuck this in a drill, glued sandpaper to the end, and spent hours working on that chamber. So this is kind of a bummer to see this. But I'll make a new gasket, raise my exhaust a hair, put the new intake on it, and try again. Looking at it a little closer, like the most severe damage where it actually chewed on the ring is right there. And that ding in it was me. That wasn't anything that the cylinder did. But right there lines up with the decomp hole. And had a leaky decomp valve. So maybe it eating itself was just getting lean. Or I had made some test cuts with it on camera in bigger wood, and it was going between acting right and acting wrong. That could have been my problem. So, don't know. I'm going to try cleaning this back up a little bit, and I'll probably throw a fresh ring on there and new intake boot and start getting it back together. Well, I got it back together, put a new intake boot on it with the upgraded clamp. We blocked off the decomp, and that's kind of unfortunate because it could use it. I raised the exhaust. I was at 105, I went to 102, and on my compression gauge, it's still doing the same thing, where you pull it over, and the gauge hits 210, and then it pushes the sealing O-ring out from my gauge. So I don't know, 210 is still probably a little high. I don't know exactly what it is, but we'll see. It sounds pissed off. I'll do test cuts tomorrow, and if it runs flawlessly through the test cuts, gonna send it